Are you ready for the heavyweight championship of the world? Are you ready?
Hey, welcome to Unanimous Corner, bringing you another episode of Unanimous Decision. And today, who we talking to, Bill?
Hey, man, y'all know what it is. Exclusive interview day today, Unanimous Decision. We got for you today, coming out of Cleveland, Ohio, we got Men at Large. They brought you the Monster Smash SoAlone. Today, Men at Large.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right, here we go. I want to formally introduce our brother, Cleveland, Ohio's Jason Champ. We're gonna call him Champ because that's what he told us to call him. So Jason Champion, but we call him Champ.
I'm gonna call him Champ.
Mama name him Champ. We gonna call him Champ. Jason Champ from Men at Large. Hey, greetings, my brother. Greetings.
Good to be here, man. Thank you guys for having us. I'm sorry Dave's not here, but I know he's got a good reason, whatever it is. But I'll represent for the both of us.
That's what's up. All right, Bill.
Absolutely. What's up, Barry?
No, you good. Like he said, we're gonna put all the pressure on him. He said he knows he knows the unadulterated truth, and we want to get the truth about Men at Large. So I'll let you set it off, Bill.
All right, let's set it off. All right, hey Jason, this is one of the big ones we always ask. At what point did you know you could sing and you knew your voice is meant for singing?
Oh man, you guys are gonna get some answers I'm sure you probably never even imagined.
Let's go.
If I'm honest, fellas, I never knew. And I struggle to this day with knowing, still today at 49 years old, with all of the accolades and all of the achievements. The only difference now is I used to be a basket case when it came to, oh man, I'm just not good enough, man. God, my voice sucks. I can't do it like they can do it. I can't do it like so-and-so. I used to be a basket case, man, just a walking in need of some mental health support, just because I believed all of the lies that the enemy, when I say enemy, I mean Satan, because I do subscribe to Christianity. I believed all of the lies, of the whispers of people who maybe talked about me or made fun of me because I didn't do something like somebody else. I believed it all, man. I believed every last word. And then my childhood experiences, my father was an amazing gift, man. He was an amazing gift. And I've often said, it's got to be hard trying to be Michael Jordan's son or LeBron's kid, or especially if you don't have the gift like that. You know, LeBron, he seems to have some things that his father had, but the youngest son doesn't seem to have it quite as much. And if you just stop and think about it for just on a human level, that's got to be tough.
Absolutely.
Because your daddy is LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Walter Payton. His son tried to, had a small stint in the NFL. Yep. And when you don't have the gift or the assets that your father once had, then you can get lost in the abyss of not knowing what your identity or your purpose is, because nobody cultivated that as a child. And you don't, you at 10 or 11 or 15, now 20, now 30, and you're like, my whole identity has been tied to my father, whereas it should have been about what I do best. And so because of all of those different things, man, I grew up with a serious complex, not knowing that I deserve to be here and still struggle, but not like I did before. I don't believe the lies. I don't believe the whispers and the voices. It's just my own internal thing now that I believe I'm good enough. I believe that God has created me to do this. But when you long for or you see someone else who does it, who as a basketball player didn't want to play like Mike, who didn't want to have skills like Kobe, who didn't want to be able to move like AI. But that's not the issue. The issue is when you park your car there and you can only focus on someone else, you're coveting someone else. And so that's a daily fight for me, fellas. I'm learning how to be okay with what I do and allowing what I do to be good enough. And so when, for example, we had a show this past weekend, and some of the guys from Troop, I hadn't seen them in years.
Friends of the show.
And they got on the van and they were like, dude, I was kind of like, had my towel over my head and I was just chilling. This time around for Dave and I, it's about different things. And so, when we were 17, 18, 19, you on the van, you Big Willie and you stunting, I got my towel over my head, everybody in the venue, and this girl's all in there, but I'm getting married. And so I'm trying to live my life as a Christian man, and the spoils of what used to tempt me, I've learned to sort of remove myself. So I'm in the van chilling, and they get on the bus, and my dude turns the light on. He like, Jason, like, man, you just gonna be sitting up here all incognito, and I'm like, man, I'm just chilling, man. He's like, dude, man, I don't want to scare you, but man, I'm almost in tears. Like, your voice, man, your voice has been the voice for me for all. And so when you hear somebody tell you that, and you have your own struggles, but you hear somebody saying to you, man, you are the guy. It has taken me years. Yeah, confirmation in a sense, but it has taken me years to understand the real subtle dynamic. You take that stuff and you hear it and you allow it to encourage you, right? But what you don't want to do is you don't want to wear those compliments as truths, because then what happens, anybody's critique, whether good or bad, can make or break you. You have to have an internal strength to say, while I appreciate what he said, God, I can only do what I can do, and I can't be swayed or moved by the opinions of, whoever, whether they're good or bad. So that was a long answer to your question.
It's actually perfect, because it's surprising. Like when I look at Men at Large, that's surprising considering the name, and also it always seemed like you guys were very comfortable in your own skin. So I would imagine that would translate to the actual sound. But speaking of the look, the thing I like about 90s R&B is R&B groups from the 90s weren't monolithic. Every group looked and sound different.
Sure did.
Most importantly, you guys, when hosts would introduce you back in the day, tied to the name Men at Large, when you guys were on Apollo, I know Steve Harvey said Teddy Bear is an R&B Fat Man flavor. So it just always seemed to me you guys were very confident. So what was more important back then, the look or the sound?
Well, Barry, when you're being introduced, you are a prisoner of the moment, and you don't have a say-so in what they're going to say. Donnie Simpson once on Video Soul introduced us as the singing sumos. And while he probably meant well, that is not a compliment. That is not a compliment.
Yeah. So that wasn't even, I thought that was something the marketing department was pushing.
No, it was never an intentional marketing decision. It was what people do to you in your everyday life. Whatever your thing is, people just automatic. Well, let me not say you, because when you have a visible struggle, if somebody's a homosexual, if somebody's an alcoholic, if somebody's overweight, when it's a visible, because a lot of us have invisible struggles. But when you have a visible one, people tend to put their mouth on you and say things that, I'm on a plane the other day and the white lady put her hand on my shoulder. I'm not prejudiced. I'm not racist at all. But there are just some things you don't do. She put her hand on my shoulder and she said, "My, you're a big guy. You got some pretty broad shoulders. Are you a professional athlete or you just like to eat?"
I can think of
yeah, I can see.
It's a backhanded compliment mixed with a front-handed insult. Yeah.
It's a let me pose as being nice to be able to say what I really think, so that I can kind of put it on a bed of softer ears, because you think that sounds a little bit better. But to answer your question, man, it was never a marketing ploy. It was just people said what they said because we were obviously big dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, man, I'm the more sensitive one out of the group. David is the more I don't give a fudge, and I'm the more sensitive one. And so a lot of times, man, that really did it hurt. When Donnie Simpson, who I loved, who I thought was, I was, first of all, I'm so proud to be in this moment. We're here on Video Soul, and I've watched this show. And here I am on the show.
Families watching.
And I love Donnie Simpson. Always thought he was a good dude. Still do to this day. And when he said that, man, it was a reminder that people are people. Yeah. You got to have tough skin. You got to. People are people. But it was never a marketing ploy, man. We were always comfortable in our skin, but it was one of those things where you had to be. Like, you go to a new school. You can't let everybody know you're afraid.
Yeah.
So, you walk big and bad like you tough too, but really it's internally you scared shitless out of your mind.
So that's the degree of difficulty. You just increased it. So it's remarkable that you guys were able to break through, because you're dealing with.
I think so. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
You're dealing with the external. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but that's crazy that you don't think about that, because you guys are at the top and you're single. You got a monster smash single. You're on Video Soul, as you said. You're on, we said, the Apollo. You're there, but then you still are dealing with internal things that people will say insensitive remarks, but like you said, they think it's more of a compliment. So,
and in some cases, some cases, I would even say I realize that I don't think people think that it's a compliment. They just want to be able to say. People have opinions, man. Yeah. People will force or push their agenda on you and try to be intrusive. But the moment you set boundaries and the moment you say, hey, no, that is the moment where people get upset and tell you, oh, so you changed, so you too good. No, I just understand me a lot better, and I'm not willing to allow you to play in my space because you don't have a pure agenda or a pure motive. And so now that I'm taking my power back from you, now all of a sudden you can't do what you want to do, and it's a problem. And that's what I found, man, is the challenge in life, period. People always want to, even especially family. The moment you tell a family member no, or they can't do something, they don't like that. Yeah. They don't like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Let me ask you this. So you talk about, we're talking about Video Soul, we're talking about Apollo. Let's get to where it all started. Before you captured the attention of the Donnie Simpsons of the world, you captured the attention of an artist that we know is Gerald. So that was around the time, like, something was going on in Cleveland where he was looking like he was finding talent. So you guys because there was you guys and Rude Boys. So I want to ask, what was your relationship with the groups that were under the Gerald Levert umbrella, as well as R&B acts of the 90s period?
So the way that happened, Barry, was we met Gerald years before when I was 13. David's David's late uncle, the great Len Tolliver, who's like his father, his dad uncle. David worked at the radio station, which means I was there because we were always together. David was an on-air personality he had a show called Rapper's Delight on Saturday nights. And that's how we met girls back in the day. They would call in, you get their phone number, meet up at the mall and all that kind of carrying on. But when I was 13 and Dave was 16, because of our affiliation with the radio station, the For Lovers Only, every city has a Quiet Storm lover show. And Jeffrey Charles was he was the Quiet Storm DJ in Cleveland. and he was also an aspiring artist. And so he had a little housewarming party at his house. And this is when the OJs were very popular, but Gerald and Sean and Mark, known as Levert, were really just coming up, and they had that big hit entitled "I'm Still." And I don't think I don't think that had come out yet. Pop, pop, pop goes my mind. But that was, you know. And so they were there. Gerald was there. And I had no business at 13 being at this housewarming party at 11 o'clock at night. No business. Why we were there, I don't know. Why we were allowed to be there, I don't know. But I had my keyboard and we sang a song that I had written. And Gerald was there and he made all these promises like, yo, I want you guys to open up for me at the front row, which was a big venue in Cleveland. It's no longer. And it never happened. It never happened. So fast forward 4 years later, David, ironically, was dancing for a legendary hip hop DJ in the city of Cleveland called Johnny O and the Sorcerer Crew. Him and another friend of ours who since passed away were the dancers. They had two big guys, which was ironic, you know, two big dudes dancing for a hip hop group. On their way out of rehearsal, Gerald was on his way in because the building where they rehearsed was the same building where Gerald cut records. And Gerald said, man, what happened to you, man, and your friend that I saw at the house a couple years ago? Dave said, man, we still around. We doing talent shows, festivals. He said, well, look, man, come down to the building to where they had their offices. Come down on Thursday. I think that was like a Monday or Tuesday. Come down there on Thursday, and you know, I want you guys to audition for me. So Dave called me. I got out of school, went and auditioned. We auditioned. He said, I want y'all to come back tomorrow. He said, somebody else I want y'all to sing for. You know, I'm excited. We go back the next day and walk into the room, and his dad is sitting there, and I'm blown away because I know. I don't know all of my music history, but I know Cleveland history. I know Ohio. That was Eddie Levert from the OJs, and so I was shook to say the least. But we did our thing, and he asked his dad, "What you think, Pops?" And Eddie said, I can't say what he said, but he said, man, these fat mother suckers can sing. Sign them right now. And that day, Gerald signed us. And so I think all he had at the time was the Rude Boys.
Yeah.
And the Rude Boys hadn't even really made any noise yet. They were on their first single on their first album, which was Come On, Let's Do This, which was one of my favorites. But they hadn't even hit Written All Over Your Face yet. That hadn't happened. And so you asked, how was it to be under that most special time in my life? Outside of high school was, I ran I won't say I ran it, but along with several other people, we were very popular and we had a blast in high school. I went to like Fame, like you saw on TV. It was like that. Cutting classes. We all hanging out in the mod room singing and then my kids were born. That was special. But being with Gerald, man, every day in the studio, leaving high school, I'm in 11th grade going to the studio. Man, that was Joe Little and all the Rude Boys in our session. And then some of everybody will walk through there, you know, through the session. Man,
I couldn't even imagine it.
It was special, bro. I never knew I was at work. I never knew there was never a day that I said, well, I got to go to work.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. And the lessons we were learning and we didn't even know, you know, we were getting educated by arguably in my book, if not the best male soul vocalist in the game ever. Top 5 ever. You find me 4 other people, 5 other people.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Better than Gerald. You find me 5, and we can go toe to toe.
I'll give you that. We'll circle back on that at the end because we'll throw some names out there. But I definitely give you top 5. Easy.
Yeah.
But okay, with you saying that, Jason, you got Cleveland, you got OJs. I mean, if you don't know who the OJs and Stairway to Heaven and
you heard the music,
Eddie, you know.
Now, mind you, I
now.
was in the 11th. Mind you, I was in the 11th grade, and Dave was 3 years older than me, so we knew. But it would be years later that we understood.
Yeah,
we knew.
I knew, but I didn't. Yeah. So today, if people today looking in, you got the OJs, you got the Rude Boys, you got Levert, you got y'all, and then you still got coming after y'all Avant or whatever, right? Y'all, those names are not associated with being studio singers only.
Right.
Okay. So how important was it during your era in that time period of all that music and that singing? How important was it for you guys to come correct with your vocals?
It was not a question of how important. It was the only thing that was important. You know, Eddie and Gerald would always say, I don't want to say it, this is family friendly, but especially Eddie would always get in my face, and I can't say it the way he was saying, but he basically would say, you go to that mic and you tell that mic who you are. And you let everybody in that audience know who the fudge is in control.
Okay.
You own this. It ain't about riffing and running. It's about, can you perform the song? Can you become the song and sing the song? And Gerald had his own way of expressing that same thing. But Gerald's way was always to say, basically, if there was another act coming on after us, or if there was one before us, he said, don't ever leave the people wondering who was on be after you or who came. Let them only remember that you hit that stage.
Okay.
And the rest will take care of itself. And it did, man. I remember one show we had with R. Kelly, many prayers out to that young man. Always been a huge fan. But we had a show in Chicago. We opened up for R. Kelly, and a lot of other people might have been intimidated because it was R. Kelly in his hometown. Not these two kids that Gerald and Eddie groomed and taught how to do what we went out on that stage, fellas. And when I say we burnt that mug down so much, and I'm still a fan, but we burnt that show down so bad. R. Kelly himself, and I heard him say, man, don't let them fat niggas back there in the dressing room where we celebrities too. We all got dressing rooms in the back. He told his security, don't let them fat niggas back there. And like, why? Because we just murdered your city. And nobody, I guess he wasn't used to somebody doing that before he got on. But my thing was, look, man, you R. Kelly, you finna blaze it too, but don't be mad at us because we murdered that mug.
We're gonna make you work.
You can't stop a singer from singing. I mean, and if you're groomed by two of the greatest voices to ever live, I mean, I'm not scared of anybody. That would be the equivalent to, like you said, when you talked about Michael Jordan's son, and if my dad and this person groomed me, I'm not scared of nobody else.
I was too dumb to be scared because I had my big brother and my grandfather was two of the best to ever do it. And they said to go out here, hey, don't let nobody hit you. You swing on, how your uncles and your, so we didn't know. All we knew was to go for blood, man. That's all so when we was on tour with H-Town and Silk and SWV and all these great 90s acts, it was always a respect thing. It was always, well, y'all know them two fat niggas is gonna bring it. Y'all do know this. So we better be on point. And it was more of a respect, and we had a lot of fun, man. We used to do a lot with SWV and Jade and Silk, and
okay.
It was just a lot of fun, man. It was the 90s hit different. I know y'all know that, but the 90s, 2000 R&B, 2010, 2020, even the 70s. The 70s and the 80s were great, but 90s R&B hit different.
Something different. It did.
Some different.
Another thing I'll say is not just with singing. So I want to focus on something else. And I think you mentioned you being a student to Gerald and his father. He put you in rooms with, on the first album, Joe Little, who I feel like if you look at his catalog when it came to writing, I think I want to look at the penmanship. You look at Gerald Levert's writing credits. You also work with Keith Sweat on the song, right? So being around those folks, do you think that's necessary to be part of the total package? You already mentioned singing is a must. Is the pen a must as well?
Only if you don't want to just be a work for hire. Like if you only want to be able to say we get ready to gear up for this tour or go out, and then writing is not important. But if you understand what it took me years to understand, the real money is in writing songs.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares about being famous?
Yeah.
Like
behind the scenes.
If you look at a guy like Babyface, who his net worth I think is $300 million.
That's my favorite writer, by the way.
He wrote. If you go back now, there's some songs that I hear that I didn't know he wrote.
Eric Clapton, Madonna.
I'm like, yo, when I just heard Eric Clapton a couple weeks ago, I'm like,
that's Babyface.
I said, man, if I didn't know any better. Sure enough, went and looked it up. Babyface had written that. And I was like,
Take a Bow. That don't sound like Babyface, but it's him. All of that.
You go back and listen to, what was my man? I thought it was Babyface. What was the guy?
You talking about Nobody Knows It But Me.
What was his name?
Tony Rich Project.
Man, I thought that was Babyface. Only to find out.
Everybody does. Everybody does. If you like
I swear, yeah. The acoustic guitar and all
that. It sounds like When Will I See You Again? It sounds like I think
that ended up being to his detriment. Because you didn't get another chance because we thought that was Babyface.
And it's a LaFace record. It's just Babyface isn't associated with it. So yeah. But now you mentioned the penmanship, and I think you were already writing at 13 because that's what you did at the housewarming party. But I think you were able to develop that craft.
I was writing not knowing that it was important. I was just writing songs to try to get put on. You know, you want to get put on.
I think that's something that attracted that attracted Gerald to you guys. I think he noticed that you were writing music. That's probably something he was looking for.
We wrote Stay the Night on our first project, which I think we might even remake on this. We're gonna release another album, probably one more. Okay. But the writing is key, man. Writing is how you say what you want to say.
Yep.
You know, it's how you get out and express what you want to say, and it's a lot more intimate. Because when somebody's either singing something you wrote or when you're singing it, you get real touchy about it because there's a way you want to express yourself. Yeah. Just like an author of a book, or there's a message that you want to convey. And it always makes me think about the 5 Heartbeats when Robert
this
Towns
is my song.
Like, he was like, "No, man, that's my music,
song. Yeah,
man. He's killing my job." Because as a writer, you want people to get the message, and that guy was not sending the right message. So penmanship is very important, man. Very important.
Extremely.
Absolutely. So I know this is kind of I don't know. This just one of those what if kind of questions, right? OJ's, Men at Large, all the singers I just mentioned prior, right? I form a super group and call y'all the Cleveland group, right? And we enter a talent show. Not a talent show. I take that back because we're talking about a singing show.
Yeah.
A singing show. And I'm gonna match y'all up against like singers of New York.
Yeah.
Like singers of LA. What place you think y'all coming in?
Because we live in a world where everybody likes what they like. something like that, you're at the mercy of
the judges,
who's ever judging. But what I do know is
okay, all right.
That's what I want to say.
what I do know is,
come on now,
man, y'all better have the fire department on deck.
Yeah,
because we burning it down.
I'm thinking like when you start from the beginning, you talking about even your youngin coming in with a bunt and everything Avant, from in between.
But Avant wasn't part of the Levert family though.
Now he's Cleveland though. That's
no, he's Cleveland. I'm just saying your city of Cleveland. Your city of Cleveland. I'm telling you, if you talking about, hey, we got the city of Atlanta. Hey, I don't care who y'all got. And when I think about the names, I just started writing the names down, formulating my questions. Even when we interviewed Joe, and I'm like, man, Eddie and Sean and Mark and y'all and Rude Boys and just all these groups.
And Joe and Buddy from the Rude Boys, man. Me and Joe and Buddy, I swear, used to get on everybody's nerves because we would just, they call it shedding. We would just, like, we had a tour that we were on when Bill Clinton was running for president. We were the act. So we rode on a tour bus from city to city. It was us, the Rude Boys, and Yolanda Adams. So every time he would go speak to, as he was running for president, we would sing before he spoke.
Really?
And all we did on that dang on tour bus, man, was all day. It used to get on everybody's nerves, but I swear it's that's where I learned how to be ferocious, trying to mimic Buddy and Joe. God rest Buddy's soul. He passed away, but anyway, yeah, man.
So here's a question. When you look at groups of the 90s and a lot of names that you're mentioning, I believe the 90s is the golden standard when it comes to R&B. But also for the names that you mentioned, the Jades of the world, Portraits and stuff like that, it's a lot of it's a lot of lost groups. So and some of that is because in that era something happened when it came to illegally downloading music and things like that. So when you look at the success of the first two albums, that's pre-Napster, and then you release an album during the high, like the beginning of the Napster era, like 99. Do you feel like downloading impacted your career?
Definitely. It definitely impacted a lot of people's careers. I remember we were doing a show in, I want to say Indianapolis. And this was the height of, what do you call it? When people were selling fake
bootlegs,
bootleg CDs, yep.
Bootlegs. And this was when cassettes were even being bootlegged.
Yeah.
So we were walking on the strip. It was like this little beach pier. And we didn't know. And dude is selling a bunch of records, and we're consumers too, because we listen and study to other acts. Man, we look, he got a bunch of men at large, and we like opening it up, and it was bootleg. They were all bootleg.
Wow.
And I'm not a violent guy, nor am I. I don't profess to be the roughest, toughest cat, but man, we trashed that man stand and took all of the Cleveland. We took all the OJs, all the Levert, all the men at large, all of one of the girls, the Rude Boys. Man, we threw that in the garbage, man. We took all of that. It has severely impacted our careers, because that was just a precursor. At that point, it was just about bootlegging a CD. But now, on a bigger, how can I say this? Oh man, there's some good white folks and there's some good black folks. There's some not so good white folks and some not so good black folks. But the not so good white folks always seem to find a way to prostitute something that we do that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got, I want to be careful how I say this.
Mm-hmm.
The percentages that we get paid, it's robbery, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a form of pirating and bootlegging. And how can it be my intellectual property and you making millions off of it, but I'm making
pennies,
pennies on the dollar? How?
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
that's crazy. That's why I guess you got to appreciate a person like a Master P. And, you know, saying, hey, man, I keep selling out my trunk. So
they'll never let that happen again. You'll never see that again,
mm-hmm.
ever. But in order to really make any money on like these streaming platforms, you have to really stream an ungodly amount of streams. Like you got to be at like 5 million streams.
But even then, though, even though it's like you said, pennies on the dollars is 0.003% of every dollar. So you're making money, but in percentage wise, it's still
not even close to what you.
I almost think that they almost treated the artistry like the starving artist approach, to where it's like, hey,
if this ain't slavery, man, I don't know what to call it.
It's sad, but it's almost the message is, the goal is not to make money off of your music. We want you selling merch. And that's to me, that's not fair.
Yeah.
That's why you got to really be strategic about, your music today.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely, the aspiration cannot be to be a mega superstar, because you need radio to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And radio is not what it once was. And so you have to be content with the name that you've built and the shows that you garner. You got to be content with that. Just going out and working, staying busy and being happy to go make what you can make, your earning potential, because that streaming situation, that's a whole nother animal.
Yep.
It's crazy. So let's cut to the monster smash that I know for me that brought me to know who Men at Large, the group is. Obviously SoAlone.
Okay.
Classic song. I don't think it's not on a playlist, that I have. Now when I hear the song, it is a somewhat sad song to me. I think I look at it as, someone who passed on. You're reminiscing, you're missing that person and everything. But I also hear almost like a breakup song.
Mm-hmm. That's how I hear it.
I heard it as a breakup song first.
Okay, that's how I hear it.
And then as I got older and listened to more of the lyrics, and I hear, I miss you, mama. But again, you may call your significant other mama. You know what I mean? So I hear both. Is that intentional, or am I tripping, or have you even heard that, Jason?
I recognize that it does have that, and I wonder sometimes if it's because Aaron Hall had that song called "I Miss You," and it was definitely about a woman, But I think overall, in totality, the song was written for David because his mom passed away.
Yep.
So when you just go for literal meaning, that was a song about his mom, and then it took on a dual meaning because my father passed away before the album came. So that song became an homage to our lost parents.
Absolutely.
However, one of the most beautiful things about music is people can, a song, if it's written well, can meet a person where they are. And if you lost your girlfriend or your husband there's nothing in that song that alienates you from making that your song.
Yep.
We've sung that song at funerals for, husbands and wives that have been lost. We've sung it at I want to say we've even sung it at a wedding, which was weird, but I get it because somebody had passed away, and it is an emotional tear. You know how when sometimes you go get a massage and they say, well, is that hurt? And you're like, yeah, but it's a good hurt.
Yeah.
Touching on that muscle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It hurts, but it's a good. I'm So Alone is a good hurt.
Yeah.
It's a good hurt.
Yeah. I love your answer. I'm not going to lie. A part of me, I was getting ready. With all due respect, I was going to say, hey, you know what? It may not be up to you, champ. I'm taking it as a breakup song. But it's just like a painting. Like, when people, you put a picture on the wall and everybody has a different interpretation. That's the cool part about the song. Like Bill mentioned, some of the slang has caught up to that, to where back then people weren't calling their significant others mama. But when I hear it now, I'm definitely thinking breakup song. But that is so cool.
Think about it. We were together just the other day.
Yeah, it fits for both.
Me and me and her broke up. I'm thinking, we were together just the other day.
And I think,
like I said, when it's a well-written song, man,
it's credit to the writer. Yeah, that's when the writer's on point. It's gonna have multiple meanings. I want to switch.
That's a good one, man. I love that song though. You guys.
I don't think a lot of '90s acts had a lot more quantity of songs than we did. SWV, H-Town, Silk.
Yeah.
They had probably 10 plus smash hits. We had 2. But our 2 were so big, it has afforded us the opportunity to still be here 30 years later, because our 2 got the ears of people to listen to the other songs that were on the album and gave us credibility and relevance. There's not a week that goes by that somebody doesn't stop me and reference I'm So Alone. And when I hear it on the radio or if we perform it, it reminds me of just how special, that record is, man. That record has gotten people through some tough times.
Absolutely.
I always enjoy when an artist could it's a crossover success because it's Hot 100, but it's so genuine to where I don't think you guys needed to change up your style in order to cross over. Yeah, it's a genuine record. So, like you said, monster smash. I think people take for granted how difficult it is to be Hot 100. You don't do that by mistake.
No, that's tough. And typically you don't start out trying to be. You get lucky with a song. It's always you're always one song away, man.
Yeah.
This business, you could be gone for 50 years, come back with a smash.
Uncle Charlie, you got
Uncle Charlie. I was just about to say that. Look at Uncle Charlie.
A smash.
Yeah, man.
Tank too. Yeah, I think Tank started seeing more success after the first 3 albums.
Yeah.
So here's something I want to bring up. You mentioned earlier, I don't know if you said this on the call or you said this before the call, but I know you're a fellow brother in Christ and you got you subscribe to Christianity, and you were able to kind of pivot into the gospel world. Now, how difficult is it to pivot from R&B to gospel?
Oh, as far as difficulty, it's not hard at all. It's you see it all the time. People leave R&B, to go make a gospel record. I mean, you remember when Coco from SWV, she made a gospel record. It's been happening for years. Elvis made gospel music.
Al
Green,
Kelly Price,
Williams, Kelly Price, Al Green. I mean, it's just
Al Green.
It is a revolving door. You leave gospel and go to R&B. You leave R&B and you go to gospel. It just, But the trick, though, what's difficult is to leave something that garnered a credible amount of success and then go to something where you've built nothing and then try to see. When I left, it wasn't to go sing R&B. I mean, sing gospel music. When I left the group, it was because I heard the Holy Spirit tell me that my assignment at that time was over. Because I had been in church long enough to understand, I knew that was the voice of the Lord, but I understood who he was and who he is enough to know that if I wasn't obedient, I might not have that same grace and protection over my life that I did before he gave me that mission, that assignment. So I left with the quickness, man. I was out. I didn't want to leave, and I knew I was facing an uphill battle, but I wanted to be safe because God had protected us from some pretty tough stuff in many large scuffles we could have got into. Could have ended up pretty bad. But he protected us. And I said, God forbid if I say, man, it's too good to let go, God. Who knew the next scuffle we might get into that, you read about on the news where you see somebody got shot and killed or I just didn't want that to be me.
I think a lot of times when artists, they go and sing a gospel song or they make gospel albums, I just liken it as if they're going back to their roots. And, I'm going to assume, or I may be wrong, but I'm going to assume that you grew up singing gospel, or at least gospel at some point in time. And I've asked this question to a couple others, and they had the same, grew up in the church. So would you say gospel is your foundation of singing? And if so, who did you grow up listening to?
I'm a different, I don't try to be difficult on purpose. I really don't.
Yeah.
But the way my brain works is I see and I hear things a little differently. So I know people call me and accuse me, man, you so extra, you just doing way too much, but I'm being authentic to who I am. I'm sorry if you don't think about it this way, but I said all that to say, if you grew up in a brothel like Richard Pryor did, he had a set of circumstances that left him growing up in a whorehouse. When he became who he was, if he returned to that brothel, would you say it was because he was going back to his roots? Probably not, because he probably wouldn't want to return to that.
Gotcha.
But the church, for whatever reason, is the place where we say people return to their roots. There's some truth there, but the way I like to explain it is, if they were your roots grow very deep, and roots usually are impenetrable. They're strong. You don't typically find yourself over in another, area if your roots are already dug down in the ground. A tree doesn't go somewhere else and then come back to its roots. I said that to say we have to be careful how we describe certain things. Many of us grow up in church. That's the extent. When you return, you're returning to something that was familiar. Not that there were roots there, but it was familiar. That's where God introduced you to music and to life, because your family went to church. You were always in church. And so in the sense that when God called me out of many at large, he didn't necessarily call me back to my roots. He called me to himself, because it's all about relationship. And I didn't really have one with him. I was from church, but being from church is not going to get you to heaven. It's only the relationship and the acceptance of what he did at Calvary, that work that he did on the cross. When you accept that, that's when you secure your position in heaven. And so he called me to himself and to have this relationship and this walk with him, and to teach me things that I didn't know, man. And it wasn't to go make music. It wasn't to go be, a gospel singer. it was literally to go work in an old folks home from 11 at night to 7 in the morning. I'm used to making anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 cash every weekend, but I'm working 11 to 7:30 in the morning, making $5.50 an hour. And all I had to do at this particular job was read my Bible because I didn't have nothing but time. So it was God wooing me and calling me to himself to give me a foundation so that 30 years later, when we're doing Men at Large again, I'm doing it with a very different set of different set of purpose now.
Yeah, heart conditions different as well. I got a question because you bring up an interesting point, right? So you mentioned the whole roots topic about individuals returning to something that's familiar, not specifically you, but there is a debate amongst when it comes to gospel artists as well as gospel fans. Do you believe gospel music should be exclusive to Christians, or is it like you said, some individuals grow up in church and it's what they're familiar with? So do they have the freedom to put out a gospel album, or does it specifically need to be exclusive to believers? That genre.
Yeah, man, I don't think anything should be, at least, off the top of my head. I think when you talk about exclusivity, you run the risk of perpetuating something that Black folks have had to be subjected to most of our lives.
Yep.
Yeah. White folks wanted exclusivity. And when you start talking about should somebody be allowed or not be allowed, man, do what you do.
Yeah,
I don't want to put handcuffs on anybody from doing anything, because if it's something that you desire, who am I to tell you no? Who am I to tell you that I think, if you're an R&B artist, you definitely shouldn't be singing gospel music. God, what I know about God is he'll get your behind in that studio. You could be the most nefarious character, but you start singing something that you're familiar with because it was part of your upbringing, and then you start singing great is thy faithfulness, oh God, my Father. And before you know it, it then jumped all on you. And right in that moment, you've had a conversion moment. It's just like Paul. When Paul was Saul, he was persecuting all of the Christians.
Genocide.
And he was killing them. He's riding on his horse through Damascus, and God strickens him with this bright light, which I believe, I can't prove this, but he fell off of his horse. I believe that's where we get the phrase, don't fall off, don't get so high, you fall off your high horse.
High horse.
But he became, from Saul, he became Paul. And he had and he was one of the most notorious cats there. God can meet you where you are. And I don't think we should make anything exclusive, because you never know when God is going to use a thing to hurt somebody. So no, no.
So to go back to that gospel music, I love gospel music, and the choirs that's my era. I love that era of gospel music. Who are some of your the gospel musicians, artists you listen to? Or you
growing up, man,
in that growing up,
growing up, I was a staunch James Moore, Reverend James Moore, the late James Moore.
Oh, stop right there. Hold on, champ. Hold on, champ. I'm talking to a lot of people, and they don't bring up James Moore. He is my favorite male gospel artist of all time. I'm sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
It didn't get a whole lot of James was every trip that we went on, if it was a road trip, I made everybody listen to James Moore. It was James, it was John P. Key, it was James. It was a real weird melting pot of artists. It was Donny Hathaway. It was Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra.
Crooners.
Man, that's what I like. That's what I like. Yeah.
Yeah, James Moore, man, he was something different because he can go high. You need to go falsetto. He going up there.
He was gonna murder you. He gonna kill you, man. He was the problem, man.
I think one of my favorites by him is his rendition of "Oh How I Love Jesus." With him and Frank Williams. Did Frank come up on that one? I can't remember, but Frank Williams as well. Man, come on, man. James Moore, man. R.I.P. to James Moore. He's my favorite.
Man, one of my favorites of all time. I still pull him out and listen to James. Still to this day.
All the time.
And his son is amazing like him.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, his son is incredible.
His that live album he did with the Mississippi Mass Choir. That one there. That was my album, right? We had the VCR tape. I have that album downloaded on the iPhone right now. Man.
Yeah, man.
That's.
I was just listening to.
We got a guess.
Yeah. He was on a plane. He was on a plane. I guess he forgot that he was going to be traveling. So, but there he is. What up?
All right.
Hey, what's up, Dave? So Dave just joined us.
We got Dave Tolliver here.
I'm on Delta, and Delta flights is screwed up. I've been at the airport since 7:30. We ain't leave till 12:30. I just landed.
Champ held it down for you.
I knew he could.
Yeah.
Where you at?
I'm in Cleveland. I got that wedding, and I'm right back out of here tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, man, I pull out James Moore. You remember how I used to have you listening to James Moore?
Yeah, hey, yeah. You the reason I know about John Key, James Moore, and
told you.
All of cats, yeah, Thomas Whitfield, and because I was working at the radio station on the weekend, and overnight I would have to do like the gospel set at 5:30, so I would have to figure out records to play. He'd like play this. That's how I got hip to all that. But John Key, sheesh, it's my favorite, I think.
John P. Key. Have you guys ever met him?
Oh, we know. Yeah, we know John.
Yeah. Man.
Okay.
John used to come to some of the shows when we be in Charlotte. He'd sneak in the back and be like, "I'm just here to check out my nephews. What's going on?"
And feed us.
And then feed you.
Oh God.
So Dave, since Champ was able to do a lot of the heavy lifting for the interview, I'm gonna ask you a question. So we were talking about basically a lot of the groups from that era, right? The 90s, and Champ said it's the best. He put a lot of pressure on y'all. He said it's the best era of R&B, best decade of R&B ever. So would you concur? You gonna agree with that or no?
I would have to agree with that. The only era that could challenge that might be the 70s. That's it.
That's what I said.
Anything before that, nah. The 90s had it locked, man. The 90s was it took it to a new level, man. You know.
So if I were to ask you, it could be groups. It could be well, let's stay with groups. Let's do female and male. You could merge them, but the top, I guess your top 5 underrated groups from that era. Like, what would you say? These are groups that we go ahead.
Top 5 underrated women, female or male, just all together.
Female or
all together.
Because he was mentioning individuals you guys toured with, and he was mentioning female groups as well. So I'm putting them all together. Give me your top 5.
Damn.
You could tag in Champ if you want to. I just need at least 2 from you though.
2 from me. Underrated groups. I would have to say, oh wow. I would say one of the groups will have to be us, because we get a lot of respect from the peers, but I don't think enough from the people. And I get that, but let me take us out. Let me digress with that. Underrated groups. Oh God, that's a good one, man. For the 90s. Sheesh.
Can I throw a name out?
Go ahead.
I threw this name out to Stevie D the other day. I'm boy from Force MDs, but I said Riff. What y'all think about Riff?
Good one, Riff. That is my dude. Nitty and them, yeah, most definitely. Riff. Man, it was so many groups.
It was a lot of groups. It was a lot of
Portrait, Intro, Moke and
Portrait.
Yep. I heard Jay. I heard you mention Jay. Low key.
Oh,
what about Solo? Solo.
I never got into them. They were cool, but I never got into them.
Basic Black.
Okay.
Oh God, Basic Black. Yes, Basic Black, most definitely.
Okay.
Damn, I had this girl sent me a list of all the groups from the 90s one time, man. I was like, wow, I didn't know it was that many. So,
man,
I'm not going to force you to put them in numeric order, but I mean, you threw out a lot of the names. I think it gives our fans a chance to like research some of these groups, because I was crediting it to the Napster era, but I forgot bootleg era was its own era. So a lot of groups were getting bootlegged, and I don't necessarily think the labels were able to see their true reach, because you could be the hottest thing on the bootleg circuit, but then a lot of people not buying the album, but you are reaching folks. Yeah. So because of that, a lot of people didn't get follow-up albums.
That's what streaming is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what streaming.
That's the same thing. He threw it into that mix as well. He said, and I never thought about that, because you guys are looking at it from the artist perspective. I'm looking at it from a fan consuming from the consumption perspective. And that's the only way to consume music right now. It's like, so all right, so let me ask you guys, like for a fan wanting to support artists, how do you prefer for them to consume your music?
Send me their wives. No, say it one more time.
All right, so how do you, and you can answer this too, Champ, but as a fan who wants to support an artist, as traditional as I could get, how do you prefer for your fans to support your music? Is it a case to where, like,
if you really and truly a fan, then you'll find ways to keep up. You don't want to be like, oh man, I didn't know what happened to y'all. What happened to y'all? If you really and truly a fan, there's no way in the world that you can't find out where any artist is right now. Like, I have a radio show called Party and Bullish, and I do a segment every show, where every other show called Where You Been? So like Grady say, where you been? What you been up? And like, I looked up Tracy Spencer, and I had no idea all the stuff. Then I looked up Terrence Trent D'Arby. I had him with Terrence Trent D'Arby been working his ass off nonstop. You just don't hear about it. But if you're a fan, then you search it. And
what was that guy that you used to like? You loved him, man. He came out with one album and then he died. You was a huge fan. I didn't.
Chris Bender.
Chris Bender.
He sounded like Popeye when he
Who will I choose now? Who will I choose?
Chris Bender. I have a problem that concerns two ladies. I care about man, that his album, and the fact that my uncle / dad used to play it all the time, Pouring Like Rain, Who Will I Choose? There's an up-tempo record. Yo, that album was cold. I was so hurt, man. He got murdered in his front yard in Boston. He would have been big, because you go to a lot of these different places, especially like in the South. Yo, they be going ham over them records still when that come out. Bow.
You talk about unheralded R&B artists. I think he would fall into this category. He just has had such a long shelf life. He hit the 90s, he hit the 2000s, but you don't know a lot about it. A lot of people don't know a lot about him. But Calvin Richardson is a monster.
Calvin Richardson.
He tearing up the Southern Soul, Trey. He killing them.
Calvin Richardson. Yeah.
It didn't work well for him with the R&B that well, so he flipped over. And I saw him one time. Well, I was doing the Southern Soul project. I told this lady that worked for the station, I was like, when you with him today, call him me on video. He was like, yeah, what's up, man? I was like, what's happening? He said, what's going on? I said, I got some records for you. And I said, me and my man back together. He said, yeah, I'm going to open up a club in Baton Rouge. I'm going to bring y'all in. He going to open the club in Baton Rouge. So, he killing it over there. You know what I mean? Open up a club is no cheap thing unless you got a super PPP loan.
Oh, he make $1 million a year. $1 million a year.
Calvin Richardson, really?
Yeah.
Blues, jazz, Southern Soul, them cats out there working.
Yeah, man.
Really?
Yeah.
What if I throw a name Michael Sterling out to y'all?
Don't know who that is.
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know who it is.
Okay. The old Lovers and Friends. Who will I choose? Lovers and Friends.
Before
you remember
Usher
never remade it.
I'm gonna have to go back and check him out. Go
check him out. He have he reminds you of that whole late 80s, early 90s vibe. Check him out. He, I guarantee you probably remember exactly who I'm talking about though.
Michael Spencer?
Sterling. Michael Sterling.
Okay.
So Dave just said it. If you're a fan of any artist, with social media the way it is today, it's easy to find them. So speaking of you two guys, Minute Large, can you guys share where they can find you guys on social media?
Yeah, man, I bomba clat rash them, You can find us on Facebook. It's just Men at Large. On Instagram and Twitter is at the Men at Large, And I just did us a TikTok page. It's at the Men at Large too. Same thing. No followers on it yet, but at the Men at Large everywhere except for Facebook. It's Men at Large. Dial.
Cool. And I think that speaks a lot to your character as well. Just the fact that we know both of you guys, your chemistry. We have to, as a fan, we're always looking at our favorite groups from the 2000s or the 2010s, and they can't sit in the same room together. The fact that you guys have been cool, at least from the story we heard, from 13 to 16 years old, and you're still going strong today.
Even before that, because our moms were best friends. So we were always together because our mothers were always together. So I would be 7, 8, 9 years old. He was 10, 11, 12. So we've been together for a bit.
And we had a large gap, and then when we came back together, it was like, oh, there go that puzzle piece. Just stick that in there, and there it go. It worked. It was finished. It still worked. Still good.
No, that's
I've been
perfect.
looking at this piece for the longest. Oh, it worked. Wow.
We got hold on, Bear. We also had some new music, we got some music that you guys have put out, and I know you guys putting out. What can the fans expect from Men at Large that's coming up, or you guys are working on?
It came. It's out right now.
Okay.
The album Love Benefits is out right now on all DSPs. We got hard copies too. If you go to all the sites, the link is in the bio on our solo pages as well as the Men at Large pages. The link is in the bio. It's there. You can go to it'll take you to all the DSPs, but the very top store, it says SRG, and that's the company, and that's where you get the hard copies, and the first 250 are autographed, and they going too. So y'all better grab them.
Cool.
Make sure y'all grab that. I like I checked it out, man. IMF.
And y'all heard that. Follow them on social media, and make sure you check the bio on how to support them, because like they said, streaming sometimes it's not the best thing for the artists, and it's making it very difficult for these guys to make sure they get value on their artistry.
Buy a ticket when we come to your city.
Buy a ticket when you come to their city, and that's how you can support them. Hey, Bill,
let us know when y'all come to Tampa.
We post everything.
Florida.
So when we have shows, it's posted on his personal at Jason L Champion. Mine is Dave Men at Large. It's on our solo pages. It's on the group page. There's no excuse. If you follow the group, or even if you just follow him or just follow me and don't,
you're gonna hear about it.
You're gonna know that we have going on what's popping. So it's no excuse. There's no excuse. You're just being lazy.
Cool. Right. And then hey guys, we once again, me and Bill are always reaching out to folks that we're fans of. If there's somebody you want to see us interview, go ahead and drop your 2 cents down. You know what that is, Bill. Let them know what they could do.
They know what to do. Go to my 2 cents. We call that the comment section. And hey, if y'all have a question for Jason or Dave, Men at Large, y'all want to know anything about them, drop that comment down. And if they don't see it, we'll see it, and we'll get that question or comment out to those guys. Beautiful souls, man. These guys are great, great, great people. It wasn't even. That's how you know when things are genuine and organic, man. I hit guys up, they hit me back, just like that. Like no question of a manager involved, no question of payment involved. Listen, man, there are some great-hearted people out here, and don't let some of the few give you the looks of the majority. So Y'all guys are great, man. Appreciate it.
Thank
Love
you,
y'all.
Thank you for having us.
Love y'all, man. Love the SoAlone. Love everything, man. IFM, love everything, man.
There we go. Hey, thanks again, fellas. Make sure you guys follow them on social media. And then once again, congrats, Champ, on walking down the aisle. And Dave, safe travels, all right?
Thank you, man.
Don't you remind you of FC a little bit?
A little bit.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Hey, much love to y'all, man. Much more success with the show. It looks like it's really
so much.
All right.
So much love to y'all, brother. Appreciate it.